Good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the UK Chinwag Podcast thingy. I can't remember what number. I should know. 42, 43. I don't know. But I tell you what, it's been an interesting journey. Hopefully, you all enjoyed my visit, my excursion to Dave Bishop's house to play all these fantastic games. The trouble with going and visiting other people's houses when they have good games, it makes you want more games yourself. So yeah, thanks for that, Dave. Basically, I've got this whole list of games in my head now that I think I need to own. Anyway, today it's back to a traditional chinwag. We're not anywhere spectacular apart from in my shed. I've got somebody with me who I first met at a tournament at Neil's house, not the most recent tournament, which I didn't attend, but one of Neil and Mandy's wonderful extravaganzas. Put up in there. It's not really fair to call Neil's pin room a shed, but the shed and the tent in Neil's garden, basically. Lashings of food from Mandy. I met this chap there. He is a former UK #1, which means he's a better pinball player than me, aren't you all? Let's introduce him now. It's Rich. Hello,
hey,
mate.
Hi.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. It's so good to join your podcast, Gonz. I've listened to quite a few of yours. I listened to you and Spence on a few of your chats, and I listened to the most recent Craig Pullin, and also the dissection of the tournament at the Daventry show, and the chat with Andy Foster.
Ah, yeah. Well, you're a player's player in that sense, aren't you? I guess I'll actually be looking to do even better at Daventry this year, particularly with a tournament. I want to really try and weave it in. I need to speak to Tim actually, but and try and because obviously Tim does all the streaming and everything. I really want to sort of try and get some really good shots of the players playing. Are you going to be playing in the tournament in Daventry?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah,
you are, aren't you? You are.
Yeah. I do love the Daventry show. It's pretty special that I've toured a lot playing pinball tournaments, and it's pretty rare, Gons, that you get to actually reside in the same venue where the machines are. So you can just sort of go to your room and chill out, and you haven't got like, a 10-minute cab ride or whatever, or a 20-minute walk, because often that's the case. So it's a rare treat to have the machines housed in the same venue as where we stay. So
I hadn't thought of that, actually. Hadn't thought of that. Because you said to me, we had a conversation when we met at Neil's. I remember you saying, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said to me, this is a really good opportunity to come here because Neil's got a lot of modern machines. And I said you didn't particularly play a lot of modern machines. Traditionally, you hadn't. Is that right?
Yeah, there's some truth in that. I mean, like, really, my era of pinball is like the EMs and solid states. But I love the modern Sterns. But just, the rule sets are so deep that to learn the rule sets, and it can be the difference between winning and losing, at the highest end. So I love the machines just like you, but I was brought up on the mechanics and such things like that. But with the modern machines, the flipper skills, some of these kids these days that are just, the youth that are coming through, is unbelievable. But the rules knowledge, Gons, like even just, I don't know, just like Godzilla, for example, or I don't know, Game of Thrones or something. It's such deep rule sets. Like,
I was talking about it with Craig the other day, a couple of days ago. We were talking about Attack from Mars, and I was saying to him the difference between a sort of Batman over there, which is you've got to know the multipliers. If you're going to score high, you could show excellent flipper skills. Not that I do, but you could show excellent flipper skills on Batman. You could beat the villains, but if you didn't know the rules and where to apply the multipliers, somebody who had played a third as well as you but knew the rules could get a better score than you. Whereas there's almost, because you don't have that on Attack from Mars, there's almost no way. I'm not calling it cheating. I like that game. I like the multipliers, but there's no cheating on Attack from Mars. Basically, it will score the same every time if you hit those particular shots. There's not a particular way of really boosting your thing. I guess Star Wars is the big one in that, because you've got video mode that you can earn billions on and stuff like that. So I think rules are particularly important. So I see you've got Spider-Man behind you. Is that yours?
Yeah. It's my Spider-Man. That'd be the last one that ever leaves, you know.
What else have you got there?
I've got an Iron Maiden in another room. So I've got 2 machines at home, and I've got 4 machines at Peter Blakemore's club, Special Inlet in Salisbury.
Okay.
Yeah, which is about half an hour's drive from here. I go there every Friday night, and so yeah, I've got what have I got as Peter's? I've got a Fathom.
Yes.
A really nice restored Fathom by New Forest Pinball's Keith.
But Keith did that. Was that at Pinfest last year?
That's right. Yeah, it was.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, but I've got to give all the credit to Keith for that. He did an amazing job, and yeah, just to avoid the waiting list of the restoration wants. I think he's 2 years waiting list to restore old machines. He does such an excellent job. So I've got one of those. I've got a Harlem Globetrotters, and old EM called Nip It, Bally's Nip It. That's kind of the first machine I fell in love with. So there's a bit of an emotional attachment to it. And I've got a Gorgar.
I don't know this. I don't know that game at all.
It's an old Williams game, the first speaking game from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from '79, I want to say. Yeah.
Well, you've got a bit of a blend there, really, because then you've got your Spider-Man. What is Spider-Man? It's not a Sam game, is it? What it's
What the boards you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of pre-Spike.
It's pre-Spike, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Sam. I'm not that technically gifted in pinball maintenance. You know, I can do a few simple things that are obvious, but when it comes to sort of, you know, really deeper stuff, I'm not that great.
I haven't got a clue, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm on a voyage of discovery, mate, to be fair. Yeah. So what got you into pinball?
Oh, okay. Right. If I can pull it right back up to the very start. So like I'm a bit older than most. I was born in '68, so I'm like 54 now. And I first saw a pinball machine probably at the age of about 6 or 7. I remember my mum taking me to one of those fairgrounds, and they had one of those dodgy arcades, and they had a bank of EMs. And I remember just, you know, barely being able to reach the flippers, and having a game on, I think it was Cowpoke, that the aficionados of old electromechanical pinball machines will remember Gottlieb's Cowpoke. And basically, I just fell in love with the charm of it all, the colors, the artwork, the chimes, just everything about pinball really, I don't know, mesmerized me. And yeah, I had a few games, and about maybe 2 years later, I want to say on my 8th birthday, my dad bought me an old EM. It was called a Williams Rocket.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, a Williams Rocket from 1958. It was completely haggard. It didn't have a back glass. It had no legs. So it sat in my bedroom on the floor, which is just as well, really, because I probably weren't tall enough to reach the flippers, you know. And I used to have a bash on that. And yeah, so as a kid, I always had at least one pinball machine in my bedroom. The first solid state I got was a Williams Flash in about 1980. I was probably about 12. And then I graduated to Williams Firepower. It's my icon on the forum. So yeah, I had a Williams Firepower.
There you go. Because I couldn't, because obviously when we started speaking on the forum, I couldn't match your face, because obviously your avatar and your name are not the same. And it took me a little, oh, hold on, it was you I was speaking to at Neil's. Yeah, okay, so that's the Firepower there. The first thing before you go on, that must be so good for your base technique to actually have a pinball machine from that age, and just to learn, it's sort of muscle memory, mind memory, whatever the case may be. I love the fact that it was on the floor as well with no legs. So you must have been, because let's be fair, I'm 48 now, and when I was a kid, there wasn't a young kid. I think as I was getting 11, 12, 13, there were things, you know, like an Amiga or this, that, and the other. But by and large, most of my childhood, I remember I was getting a colour telly for the first time. So there wasn't a lot to do. If you weren't playing outside, there wasn't actually an awful lot to do in your house. as I remember. Anyway, so actually to have a pinball machine in your house, you must have been on it all the time.
Yeah, I was on the machines quite a lot. There was also a club that my dad used to frequent, and it was like one of those members only clubs with a
Yeah.
pool table, and like it was open 24 hours, and they had a bank of EMs. And I remember going there with my old man and badgering him for 5p, 10p. Back then you could put 5p in and get a game.
Sure.
But what made me improve, I think, Gons, was the fact that you could win replays. Like if you got a good enough score, you could get credits and you could stay on there, and there's opportunity to get a match. And I still get excited now, even in the club. Obviously, all the machines are on free play.
Sure.
When you hear that crack,
Yeah.
when the game matches, any arcade pinball players would know that sound. And I think that's I used to play pinball in amusement arcades as well, so it was a case of like you had to like do well in order to play for longer, so it made me improve like quite rapidly.
And probably playing on machines that weren't particularly well maintained is probably really good for your technique at an early. So I play every game I play on is, I guess, particularly by those standards, is perfect. You know, I mean, the flipper's a little bit out, you get it sorted. Just everything, the playfield smooth, everything. Whereas the couple of times I have gone to Bournemouth Pier sticks in my mind.
Yeah,
one of the flippers is stronger than the other and stuff like that. You become almost a bit of a snob with it, you know. So what's all this? But I think it's probably very good for your technique if the machine's not perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, Gons. And like location pinball was everywhere. I want to say like 70s and 80s. Like you have machines not only in arcades, you had them in obscure places. Obviously, like cinema foyers. You had them in cafes and restaurants. You had them even in laundrettes or chip shops. Like location pinball was everywhere back then.
Yep.
And so there was a lot more opportunity to play in the wild. And like you say, maybe the machines weren't so well maintained, but like it's kind of a shame that we location pinball has pretty much died. And at that point, I want to give a shout out to Sam Chief Taylor, Sam Chief Coffee, sorry, for his location up there in Turnham Green, at Chief, and Kirk at Tilt. That they're really back in their passion with location pinball. So kudos to those guys. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, I used to live 2 roads away from where Chief Coffee is, but it wasn't there. It wasn't there. I used to literally live. There's a college right next to Turnham Green Station. I used to live basically opposite, just opposite there. So if it wasn't there, I would have absolutely loved it if it had have been. It was sort of 17, 18, 19 at that time. But I've been down there a couple of times. My son loves it as well because there's a.
How did you get into pinball then, Gons? What's your first memories of pinball machines? Can you remember the era when they were just on location and everywhere?
I remember it was holidays really, and it was going on. So I'd go with my stepfather, and the only thing he would ever give me money for was pinball machines, because he used to say it's the only thing that's worth it. So there was all these other things coming out, like like arcade games, like there was Outrun and all this other stuff. And I remember Space Invaders being the arcades and stuff like that. Actually, to be fair, he didn't mind Space Invaders, so he wasn't totally like a puritan. But he'd say, "You're not going on the fruit machines to win money. The only reason I will give you any change out of my pocket is to go on the pinball machines." So that's what I did, and he used to love it. And that was the thing. We'd sort of try and escape mum for a bit, and we'd go and play on the pinball machines. That was holidays. And then eventually we moved down to Dorset as a family.
Okay.
So we were right near Bournemouth. In fact, we actually originally bought a house in Boscombe, and there was obviously arcades there as well. So this would be in the late 80s. So late 80s, early 90s, we were down there. That was it. That was what it was. And then I just had a massive gap until, as I've told the story a few times, until Spencer. I remember being at remember me and Spencer were at a party in a field, in someone's field once, and Spencer said, "I bought a pinball machine." What do you mean you've bought a pinball machine? He said, I bought a pinball machine. I said, you can't buy a pinball machine. He said, you can. I bought one.
Yeah.
And then so probably for, I don't know. I mean, time escapes me. Possibly 15 years, something like that. My only knowledge of a pinball machine was going and playing Spencer's, mostly Theatre of Magic. He did have a Black Rose for a bit, mostly Theatre of Magic.
Nice.
And the funny thing was, it was a nice machine. The funny thing was, I would never even occurred to us. And we did so many evenings of just some pizza and some beer. Never even occurred to get a different pinball machine, or that we might do anything different. Or that there might be a pinball community out there or anything like it. It was just a pinball machine in he had like a converted stable in Spencer's stable, and it's just what we did. And funny, if there was never any, almost funny, isn't it? There's never any desire to see any other pinball machines. So that was really my journey in pinball, really.
Okay, so late 80s, first machine. What was the first machine you fell in love with? Can you remember?
Well, I really fell in love with, so when I would just play anything with my old man. Would just play absolutely anything, whatever was giving me money for. The first time I ever really remember playing a machine was that I played all the time was when a place called Wimborne, and there was a pub called the Albion, and they had an Addams Family in there.
Oh, I was going to say Addams Family. There was so many of them were manufactured, weren't they? I think that
apparently 30,000 or something like that. And I seemed to be, a lot of my mates played pool. I wasn't very good at pinball, but I just, hold on, this is what I used to do with my dad, So I would go there and just play it, and there was a little shelf by it, so I'd have my beer on the shelf, and I'll never forget when because it was my mate's brother that was landlord of the pub, and I'll never forget when I walked in there one day. What is that? And it was a Street Fighter. Dad and family had gone. I said, "What is that? What's going on?" And I tried to play it. I thought, I don't like it.
No.
And that was that.
Oh man, Street Fighter killed your passion.
it did until some years later I saw Spencer, and so that's it. And it was so somebody that's near you, Neil Fellender.
Oh yeah, I know Neil from Weston.
So I
Weston Supermare. Weston Supermare is a place that I used to frequent because they had a beachfront, probably similar to Bournemouth, and they had a pier, and they had banks of pinballs back in the day, like really, and around the Solid State era, they had like a bank of 15, 20 pinballs, and multiple arcades had pinball machines in, and I was always drawn to playing pinballs and video games, but like Western Supermare, where Neil's from. Haven't seen Neil for a while, but he did host a few tournaments at his house, and I used to go down there and meet up with Craig Pullen. Went down there with Peter and Greg and Martin Ayob, who's kind of retired from competitive play, but a great player, Martin. In fact, if I could rewind it, like, I want to say in 1997 or maybe 96, I can't remember which. There was a UK tournament that took place in the function room of the Novotel Hotel in Birmingham. Yeah. And I'd heard about this, and I hadn't played pinball for a while. But I still had a machine. I think I had a machine at the time. Maybe it was, I had I had a firepower for ages, but it was just, it had broken and I hadn't fixed it, and it was just sat in the kitchen for years. But I heard about this tournament, right, Gonz, and so me and my mate Pete, not Peter Blakemore, another mate called Pete, we went there, and there was a prize. If you finished in the top 4, you won a sponsored trip to the EPC, which is the European Pinball Championships, that was taking place in Holland that year, and it was sponsored by a software company called Empire that made virtual pinball, really early virtual pinball. And so I thought I'd give it a shot, and I finished 4th in that comp, and won an all expenses trip to the European Pinball Championships in Holland that year. And me, Martin Ayob, and a couple of others, Malcolm Rimmer, another guy who hasn't played for years, he lived up north, he was also involved, and we went to the European Pinball Championships, and I think I finished in the top 8, something like that. But I remember
I'm
it.
surprised you don't remember exactly where you finished.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you go into the IFPA website and try and like fish out the result, it's kind of a bit squiffy. Some of the names are a bit weird. I think that their database needs updating, but it was an experience. It was a great experience. I first met Albert Nomden, who's recently passed away, sadly. A Dutch pinball master, a really amazing guy, organised all the tournaments, the Dutch Pinball Masters. It's kind of, I want to mention Albert because he was really a great guy in pinball, and those that are on the European circuit will remember him fondly. He recently passed away a few weeks back, and still a bit of a shock, but I remember meeting Albert, and he made the final. It was when Medieval Madness was new, mate.
Did you know who Albert was before you went to this thing?
No, not really. I didn't really know much about it. I was just along for the ride, and
Sorry, just to rewind, Rich. Was that Birmingham one that qualified you to go to Holland? Was that your first ever tournament?
Was that my first ever tournament? Yeah.
That's so you didn't really know about competitive play.
No, I mean, like we lived in a house like when I was in my early 20s, like 4 blokes and a pool table and a couple of pinball machines. And
brilliant. Wow.
We used to play to see you would have to go to the garage in the middle of the night and get munchies and whatever, you know. So you know, I had that competitive edge that I wanted to win, and I didn't really know till I went up there that, you know, how good I'd be. A bit like Craig, because, you know, Craig came into the UK Open and, you know, no one had heard of him, and he went and won it. And
I bet you didn't go down the garage very often to get the munchies. You probably won. It's probably your mates went to the garage, right?
Yeah. Maybe on the pool. We used to play pool as well. It really sharpened my game and gave me that killer instinct, you know, that you need at top level to do well.
Basically, I'm not going down a garage, so you became excellent at pinball. Yeah, I like
it. Exactly. Yeah.
But so you went to Holland. You went to this tournament in Birmingham, came fourth, qualified, all expenses to go to Holland, which must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a great experience. And Frank Bonner, French pinball master, he won the final on Medieval Madness. It was. I can't remember his score, but he was really good even then. I don't know if you've heard of Frank, but he's a very famous player and in competitive circles. And but I was just pleased with the experience. And then after that, I pretty much I want to say that I didn't have a pinball machine for you know, maybe 15 years. And but you know, Gons, once the pinball bug bites you, it's always there. It never leaves, right? And even though I hadn't thought about pinball for a while, I was on a trip in the States and I hadn't played for years. And me and my girlfriend at the time were on this Greyhound tour of America, and we were going from LA to Tucson in Arizona.
That's like the coaches, isn't it? Greyhound.
Yeah. We were on a budget, and we had a 2-hour wait over somewhere, and there was a Simpsons, and I had a couple of quarters, and I played a game of Simpsons and I crushed it, and I was just like, for the whole 2 hours, because the replay score was so low, that I managed to sort of, you know, play continuously for like 50 cents or something, and they even leave like half a dozen credits on there.
Wonderful.
So after that, 2015, right, I wanted to play pinball again. I don't know where the urge came from. It's just like I said, once you're bitten by the bug, it never goes. And I did a quick internet search, and I found Pete's Special When Lit Club in Salisbury, and I went down there, and I met Greg Mott and Peter Blakemore, and started playing again and fell in love with it again, and just really enjoyed going there every Friday and being playful. Because I think the most important thing, Gons, is like, you know, a lot of adults have lost the quality of playfulness, and I feel that by being playful, you know, and keeping it, it can get serious and competitive, but I always try to remind myself, don't take it too serious, you know, and have fun's the main thing. And so this whole sort of idea of playfulness is, you know, what I enjoy about pinball.
I really like that. I really,
Mm,
really like that. Yeah, I
mm,
particularly. I mean, what you're saying about the bug biting you, it's
mm.
never escaped me that
No, it doesn't.
pinballs were meant to be addictive.
Mm,
That's the whole point. Initially, it was designed to take your money from you,
yeah.
and and it means the change in your pocket. It's now got to the point where it's meant to empty your bank account, but the addictiveness and you wanting to go and have one more game is actually built into the framework for a pinball machine. Almost
Mm,
its core objects really is to give you some joy, to give you some fun, but not quite that much. So you actually want to go back
mm,
and finish off and compete what you were doing. The um the 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 joy, the fun, I
mm.
think is a massive aspect for me, and it's still is something myself. I'm still trying to come to terms with. That's why going to Dave's was actually quite a big moment for me because he seems to choose a lot of his games just based on fun.
Right.
Rather than the best rule set or this, that, and the other,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, it sort of resonated with me. Really, I came back
Mm,
thinking, actually, yes, that's because they are for me a pinball machine. It's different for everybody else, but for me, a pinball machine is a toy.
mm,
It is a toy, but I know for others it is a pool table or it is a darts board. It's a shot making mechanism. It's archery. It's whatever, and I
mm.
totally understand that. And if I was better, I may well be that way. But for me, it is a toy, and I do want to. I do want it to make me smile rather than frustrate me, and so yeah, it is. You do have to remind yourself that it is fun, certainly, but there is so much joy to be had in it. So what happened? What happened after that? So you went to these. You finished in the top 8
Mm.
in Holland. You then had this. Did you then have the break? Was the 15 years after
Yeah,
that? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I
So you
kind
went to
of had it.
Special Wedlet.
Yeah, I was doing other things between 97 and 2015. I didn't own a pinball machine throughout that era, and I had one brief, encounter with the Simpsons in America. And then somehow I just got the urge to do an internet search of local machines and clubs and whatever. And just so happened that Special Winlet's about half an hour's drive from where I am, south of where I am, and that Pete opens up his club. Anyone that's watching this that wants to come to Special Winlet, he's in Salisbury. Go to
We'll,
specialwinlet.co.uk.
we'll put the link underneath the
Bit, bit,
video.
bit of a plug there for Pete.
Yeah, why not?
It's
Absolutely.
it's
I need to get down there myself. I need to get down there
oh
myself.
mate, you'd love it. It'd be so
Um,
good to see you. And where are you based then, Gons?
I'm based in Sandhurst, so I actually think, funny enough, I spoke to Keith
Mm,
2 days ago. I spoke to Keith
hmm
on the phone. I looked at it. I think I'm about an hour and 5 minutes from Special Lit, and I'm about an hour and 10 minutes from what is now Pinball Republic.
mm,
So I'm sort of in the zone for a couple. That being said, I'm actually driving up to Electric Circus tomorrow, and for the inter club tournament championship, which is a real fun event put on by Steve and Matt, which looks
hmm
really fun. It's gonna be four, doubles and four balls and four
mm,
players and split flipper games and stuff like that. So I'm going up for that. And
mm.
actually, Steve said, "Would you mind representing the Electric Circus team?" I said, "Yeah, I don't care. I'll represent anyone. Bring it on," sort of
Yeah,
thing. So I was going up there primarily to do a video, but I can't resist playing. So that's really good. But yeah, especially when I do need to get down to it's about hour and 5 minutes when I looked on the sat nav yesterday. So when can you remember how you felt? So you've
mm,
had 15 years, you're out in America, you played Simpsons. That's definitely the catalyst. That's definitely the trigger for you because it's made you
mm.
think about it. You go back to the UK, you went to Special Inlet. Remember how you felt walking in there? Was it then right? This is it. I'm back. Now I want to do more tournaments. I want to own
Yeah.
machines.
I remember it like it was yesterday. So I went in the place and just seeing all those banks of machines and the colors, the sounds, just I don't know, it just fills you with
Yeah,
a kind of warm feeling, a buzz.
yeah,
And Greg Mott was playing a
yeah.
game on Twilight Zone, and yeah, like I love Twilight Zone. That's kind of like your era, I want to say
Mm.
maybe. And yeah, we had a game of doubles, and yeah, I was a bit rusty, but I got the bug again basically, and I've pretty much been every Friday since.
Oh, really? Have you?
Well, yeah, that I want to say I've been to I don't know like 80% the Fridays. You know, it's something that going tonight. Yeah, just love it.
Yes, yeah. I just yeah. Well, I don't know when I'll publish this video. Obviously next week, but yeah, it's as we
Yeah,
record it. It's Friday Friday lunchtime, isn't it?
yeah.
So how many people generally go down Special Winlet?
Well, we get, you know, there's a hardcore of like half a dozen of us that there
Yeah,
every week, and I want to say it's an average of sort of 10 or 15 people,
sure,
sometimes more. And Pete hosts tournaments, and you know, like around Christmas time, he hosts the festive pinball gathering. We get about 30 for that. He's got 25 machines set up,
sure.
and yeah, great collection. Wow, it's a real.
I think it's great. Everybody that does this, everybody, and it's everybody that puts collections in a venue and allows people to play them.
Mm,
I'm sure they know when they do it, but I think sometimes we do something for a long time, you forget. But the
mm,
service they do supply
yeah,
to people to allow them access to machines, and you talk about all the lights being on and all the banks of machines, and
mm,
this is really something special because particularly the arcade's gone, and also the other thing that I mentioned about arcades, are not particularly well maintained. And
mm,
you go to these pinball clubs, and there's people there that know everything about pinball. So if actually a flipper's not working, it gets sorted. If a whatever,
yeah,
well, something's not working, it just gets sorted out. So you've got these wonderfully playable machines.
yeah,
Um, I do think it's a wonderful, wonderful resource, and
yeah,
hats off to anybody that does it. Let's just talk about your tournament play
yeah.
after that before we talk about what machines you
Okay.
then went on and owned. So what was the next step in you getting to play competitive again?
Yeah, so after going to Special and Lit April 2015, there was a couple of tournaments at Peters. David Manrin had a birthday tournament there that I entered, and the usual suspects were there at the time. A few players, you know, don't play so much nowadays, but there was like, you know, I want to say David Manrin. I'll give a shout out to David Manrin. You know, we went all over Europe together, and often we went to America a couple of times playing together. He doesn't play so much now, but it was his birthday tournament. That was kind of my first tournament at Pete's, and yeah, started playing the UK tournaments basically. Oh, Matt, Thomas Evranos's club Pipeline. You heard of Thomas and Pipeline, right?
Yeah, no, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
spoke to Thomas in probably I don't know, a month or two ago. Yeah, spoke to him.
yeah, so basically Thomas had a bar slash club music venue in Liverpool Street in London.
Yeah,
He's now moved to Brighton, but back in the day he was in Liverpool Street, and he hosted a London Pinball Championships that was run by Matt Vince, and yeah, that was an incredible tournament. That was probably my first big tournament in 2015. Yeah, Will Dutton won that, I seem to remember. But yeah, you would have loved it in Pipeline Gons. There was
I'm
like,
sure.
they split up the machines into like old, mid, and new. So you had downstairs, you had your solid states, and then you had your Bally Williams, you know, that sort of fun house, T2,
Wonderful.
yeah, Twilight Zone, Medieval Madness, Tap from Mars kind of era. And then you had your moderns, so you had your Stearns, Metallica. These were brand new machines
Sure.
in the day. They had your Metallicas, your Walking Deads, yeah, that sort of era of machines. So you played sort of three different arenas, and it was probably about 50 machines in total, and 100
Wow.
100 players.
Okay. Wow.
Really.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's Thomas's Lebowski that I played at when it was Flip Out back then. It's quite funny.
I
You
got me
said,
flip out mug.
"Oh, nice,
Mm.
nice." It's funny.
I love that.
You said Matt's name. You said Matt
Mm.
Vince. Sarah is. I think she's sort of counting. Apparently, gets mentioned in every chinwag, and she said, "Why's your name come up in every chinwag?" And I don't know if I've mentioned it before now, but it's quite funny. You said it.
Mm.
You said his name, not me. It was. Don't blame me, Sarah.
Mm.
Yeah. How'd you do in that tournament?
The London Pinball Championships, I finished a 23rd. I was a
Out of
bit,
100.
yeah, I was a bit nervous, and you know, like Yeah, I struggled really.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'd have been well chuffed with that, but yeah, but
Mm.
obviously you're a far better player than I am. So what was your when did you start to lose the nerves and start to win basically?
Yeah, so it took me about a year and a half of competitive play before I actually won a tournament, and I won the UK Open Classics in 2016, and that was hosted by Peter Blakemore at Special When Lit. So
Sure.
I did have a slight edge because I knew the machines,
Yeah.
and I was in the final with David Dutton and Wayne Johns, and I forget the other player.
Oh, so
And
but it's so yeah. I mean, David Dutton's
mm,
he's up north, isn't he, as well?
yeah, yeah, great player.
I think Wayne's more Midlands, is he? But so they've all
Yeah.
come down for this tournament.
They all
Obviously,
came down. They all
yeah,
came down for the tournament, and but the thing was, Gons, that before I won a tournament, like my goal was just to win one tournament. That's all I
yeah,
wanted.
yeah,
I win one tournament, I retire happy, you know. But I
yeah,
finished. I must have finished about second about 5 times before I won one. I was so
yeah.
close, and it was always Craig Pullen, my nemesis, or Martin A.
It's
would always beat me. He'd just keep me at arm's length, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And I had some bad beats, but it made me more determined somehow, you know. And
yeah.
I eventually broke me duck in 2016, and I won the UK Open Classic. So I was quite pleased.
Excellent.
Was quite pleased about that. Yeah.
So is that so? The UK Open Classic, is that venue specific, or does that change? Is that still how's that work?
Yeah. Well, the UK Open has been a tournament that's been around since I don't know.
That is Pinfest now. The UK Open is Pinfest now, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
I want to say that's considered the UK Open. Although, if you click on the IFPA sort of records, it's called Pinfest. But I'm pretty sure. No, actually, this year I think that the UK Open and Pinfest are two separate phenomenon,
oh, okay,
and the UK Open is going to be held at Pinball Republic in
okay.
September. So yeah, um, typically it used to be split into moderns and classics, but yeah, it's been kind of sporadic since COVID and what have you. And so yeah, that was where it was at the time. It was considered the UK Open, and so that would be hosted a
You are
different.
absolutely right. I just thought while we're here,
Mm,
I'm in
mm,
front of the computer. A UK Open provisional date, and it is this year's UK Open, UK Classic, and other tournaments will take place at Pinball Republic on 29th, 30th of September, and 1st and 2nd of October. There you go. So
yeah,
yeah, you're absolutely right. Cheers for that,
yeah,
mate.
but Pinfest is a pretty big one because
Yeah.
everyone's
Oh
there,
yeah.
and it's all streamed by Tim and
Yeah.
you know, and fair play to Craig because he's done it twice now, Gons, where he showed up on the Sunday, qualified in a small window of 1.5 hours, and then he's gone on to win it twice. I mean, that's really
Maybe
special.
everyone should try that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the VIP free play nights. It's such a good atmosphere up there.
On the this which I think is the Friday night. I think the Friday night you get to.
Yeah.
So I mean that's important if you're looking to like yourself. Obviously, you Iron Maiden, you'll know because you have one. But if you're
Mm,
looking to expand your rule set and
mm,
actually on the games that are there, that's really the time to practice. But
mm.
would you? Let's say there was one or two games there, more modern games that you didn't know the rules. Would you go and look on the internet what the rules were and try and just work out what the scoring shots were before
Yeah, I
before you went and
reckon.
played it? Yeah.
I heard there's a Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles in there.
What
That's
in a competition?
yeah, I think at Pinfest there's going to be one.
Oh, I haven't looked at that particular thread. I think that's going. I think I said to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
to Wayne and Paul,
Yeah.
you know, take what you want. If I'm really honoured to be fair that one of our machines would be in a tournament. I'm really chuffed about that, and I
So
think
on your 3 game ticket, Gons, would one of your picks be your Batman?
that would be silly not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, it would be. It would be really. That would be really dumb of me
Yeah,
to
of course.
not play my own machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to learn how to get those monstrous single shot jackpots where you multiply the ramp and then cash in like half a bill
Oh
in
well,
one shot.
you know to ask. and to be fair, anyone else that wants a little practice on Batman, you know, more than welcome to come round for a cup of
Mm,
tea, a bacon sarnie, and a game of Batman. That's not a problem at all. Yeah, I mean it's It is. It's something I loved that tournament. I really loved that tournament. Funny, I was again talking to Craig on the phone the other day about the tournament. I said to him, Are you practicing ahead of Pinfest?" And he said, "Well, he said I didn't particularly last year because I've been so busy in the build up, didn't get much time to practice. So I don't know if he's planning on doing the same thing. But obviously he's got his Iron Maiden at the moment as well, much like you, which is such a deep rule set. How do you find that compared to your just compared to your other games in terms of enjoyment? Do you enjoy that as much, or is it more of a puzzle?"
Yeah, I think when you own a game, then you get to learn the depth of the rule set, and like it can seem a bit overwhelming when you play a new game and you don't know the rule set.
Yeah.
Like Avengers Infinity Quest, for example, I know roughly what to do, but the very depth of like where you place the gems and like how you multiply shots and just like I don't know, like sometimes it feels like a bit too deep.
It's a bit much. I would agree. Not everybody would agree, but for me, it's a little bit too much. I think a couple of people have said that Keith Elwin was interviewed about that, and he said relatively recently, actually, he's one of his regrets is that he probably made Avengers Infinity Quest a little bit too complicated because, as I always say, the shots are wonderful. I hit the shots all day long. They flow and the loops and the upper flipper, wonderful.
The flow on that game and the flow on Godzilla as well. I've played it at Neil's, and I want to give a shout out to Neil McRae as well for opening up Domino Arcade to all and sundry, and it's no wonder his tournaments sell out immediately. Such a gracious host, so generous of him to share that wonderful collection with the pinball community. It's testament to his generosity and his wish to share. Because
he does share. I mean, and he's put some into Pinball Republic as well. It's not just him sharing his home games. He's putting them on location.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and the joy when you go deep into the spiritual aspect of sharing, the actual joy and the love of it is in the giving, in the sharing. And so that Neil has got that in spades, and I take my hat off to him. So
I agree, but I think if I was winning, I might be saying actually the joy's in the winning.
Yeah, I managed to win a tournament there that Colin McAlpine came over from Holland.
So this is the recent one. I think so. Colin McAlpine came over. I think, as I remember it, because I looked on the thread, Wayne played very well in that tournament, right?
Yeah, he did. Wayne won both tournaments on the Saturday.
Wonderful.
Because it was over 2 days and there were 3 tournaments. The first was match play, 1st to 30.
Yes.
So you get 4-2-1-0 and you're put in groups of 4 randomly. And it's the first one to break 30 wins. So there's no like playoffs or final or anything. It's just whoever's consistent, who can make finish line first wins. And Wayne won that. And then he won the second tournament, which was... can't remember if it was a strikes tournament. No, that was on the Sunday. Do you remember what the second tournament was?
I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that one. It was the one.
Yeah,
I was there on a day when it was Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So the Grand Prix was on. So that was my excuse for.
The Grand Prix was on, right? Yeah, it was. Target match play was the second tournament, and the first one was strikes. So you get a certain number of strikes. And once you get eliminated once you reach that number of strikes. And then on the Sunday was the match play final. So yeah, but basically, I had a really game.
Say it. I won. Go on. It's fair.
Yeah, no, it was good because I had a really good game on Deadpool in the semi-final. And of course, you're a lover of Deadpool. You've had the machine. Spencer's got it now, right? Has Spencer got your Deadpool?
Yeah. Temporarily, Spence. Temporarily.
Yeah. But what a great game, eh? What a great game.
Fun. A fun game.
Yeah. And tell me, Gonz, like, because sometimes when I play a pinball machine for the first time, I make judgments about it. And like, have you ever played a machine and thought, oh, that game really sucks? And then slowly it grows on you. And then you start to love it.
Plenty of times. Plenty of times.
Deadpool was like that for
Was
me.
it?
When I first saw it, I thought, oh, the artwork's just too overwhelming, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, is there any flow in the shots? There's that sort of, the Deadpool thing right in your face, and then like after I played it, and like there's so many satisfying combos, isn't there? Like the skill
Yeah.
shot, for example, like bam, and it goes up the snick shot.
It just feels
Yeah.
do you know what it feels like? I see this. I think about pinball. I think pinball
Mm,
taps in to some really basic stuff, and it's like catching a ball and
mm,
throwing a ball. It,
mm,
it, it could be. It's that basic thing. It's catch, it's
mm,
golf, it's cricket, it's
mm.
football, and then
Yeah.
you've got all this other stuff going off, which is to indulge your senses, the sounds, the sight, the flash,
Mm,
and then you got this feel of it. And anyway, so, you know what it's like. Sometimes that is you could be playing catch or tennis. Sometimes you just hit a really good shot or catch a
yeah.
good ball,
Yeah.
score a goal, whatever your thing is, right? But sometimes your technique it just feels rewarding. But yeah, I caught that lovely.
Mm,
That skill, that when you hit that shot, that skill shot on there, the
mm,
super skill shot, which is round the
mm.
loop, and then you hit it up the katana ramp.
Yeah.
It's that feeling. It's that wonderful catch, that wonderful goal. You think, oh, I caught that. I caught that lovely. I caught that lovely. It makes you pleased with yourself. And
Yeah.
any game or anything that can make you pleased with yourself
Mm,
it's no bad thing, So yeah, it's
mm.
got some lovely. It's reward, and that's it. It's rewarding. It sort of gives back to you. I love that game, but there
Yeah.
are many games, like that. But you can definitely. I'm very guilty of prejudging a game too quickly, and the other way as well. Before I've even seen a game, I've decided that I'll like it. Oh, that's
Mm,
good. I like that. And actually,
yeah. So I had
not
a
even.
really good game. I had a really good game on Deadpool in the semi-final, and pretty much after my second ball, I was kind of home and hosed. Really, I was on like 250 after two balls, and
Okay.
the other players were on like 60 or 70. And me and Thomas Evernos qualified for the final, and Colin McAlpine and Wayne Johns qualified on the other semi-final. They were playing
Okay.
Dialed In. You know Dialed In?
Yeah, I don't like it really, to be honest.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like some JJP games, but that one, you got to know the rule set, and I know it.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I know it a bit, but not. I was glad then when we were on Deadpool, and
I would have been. Yeah.
and then we played 4-player final. So it was I want to say Thomas was first, Colin was second, Wayne was third, and I was the fourth player. And Thomas had a pretty good first ball. He got like 70 mil.
So what? Sorry, what machine you won in the final?
Avengers, Infinity Quest.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And Neil's disc is like spins forever.
Yes, I think you got the metal upgraded one with the
mate.
bearings and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think it's a really good mod worth doing, because the stone one is like proper stiff, right? It hardly spins.
Yeah, you can adjust it so it does, but I know what you mean.
Oh, okay.
I've seen the mod, and when I had the game, I thought, oh, I like that mod. It does look nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So Colin had a pretty poor first ball, as did Wayne, and I stepped up and I got a portal open. Neil's LE has got the disc that opens up. Yeah.
Yes.
So I got the portal lock, chose yellow, and got that spinner spinning.
Yeah.
And then that multiplies all your shots, doesn't it? And
Sure.
I just made a few shots and put up over 100 mil on my first ball, and that was it. I was lucky. Yeah, that felt good, because first tournament I won in a while, and
I bet it felt good. Yeah,
yeah,
and good players there, really good players.
Yeah, Colin's a top 5 player in the world.
That's
so
brilliant.
although to be fair, he had a bad game in the final, but it happens to us all. But
it
yeah,
does.
I'd like to talk about the upcoming IFPA Worlds if we've still got a bit of time. If we've got a bit of time,
please do talk. Please do, mate.
Yeah, because the World Championships, the IFPA World Championships, are coming up May 26th to 29th in Florida, and the UK has 2 representatives, and they are Andy Foster and Andy Pup Foster and Sam Chief Coffee.
Yeah,
Sam McCourt. Wow, it's such a brutal tournament, mate. It's really it's a mental marathon. Like, okay, so a little bit about the IFPA Worlds. 64 players, and the first cut is 32. So you play 8 rounds of 3 times 4 player games. So you play on the Friday, and the Friday is split up into 2 sessions. They're called sessions. So you play 2 sessions before lunch, 2 sessions after lunch, and 2 sessions after dinner. And
sorry, carry on. I was just about to write something down, and I carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I knocked my microphone.
It's proper geeky stuff, but those that are
I like it. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, those that are into competitive pinball might be interested. And basically, each session, you play 3 other players, so you're in a 4-player group, and you play 3 machines, and the machines are pre-allocated, so there's no machine choosing at this point, and they're split up into 3 different eras, which tests your skill set on all eras. So you've got old, which are the electromechanical and solid state machines. You've got the middle era, which are your, Bally Williams, your Attack from Marses, your Twilight Zones, your Monster Bashes,
WPC games.
Your Medieval Madnesses, that era, and then your moderns, which are, of course, your modern Sterns. And so you're tested on the 3 different eras, and you get points are allocated according to your finishing position in each 4-player game in 7, 5, 3, 1. So the maximum you can get for a session is 21 if you win.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. And then the minimum is 3. And so you're cut off. So you play all day on the Friday. Yeah. I mean, it's a real marathon. You're so tested. So you start at 10 a.m. and then you play until lunch. So you've played 2 sessions, and then there's 2 sessions after lunch, and then there's 2 sessions in the evening, and typically it finishes about 11 p.m. I remember finishing. I went to the IFPA Worlds in Canada. I was one of the UK representatives with I think it was David Manrin I went with, and my goal, Gons, was to just finish in the top 32 so I qualify. I've made the cut, and I was kind of on the bubble throughout, because the average points you need to get, the magic cutoff is 98. Like, typically, if you look at the history of the tournament, if you get 98 points, that means you've averaged just above 12 for the each game.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, because you said the maximum you can get is 21. So
the maximum
the 7s. Yeah. So
yes.
So out of that 21, if you average 12,
so
you'll generally make the cut and get through to the last top 30.
Top 32. So you need to make 98. And I remember going into the last game on the Saturday. So you play 2 more sessions on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And like I said, each session is 3 4-player games. And like I remember I needed the very last set of games. I needed I got a 7 and a 7. I was in a group with Steve Bowden, Tim Sexton, who does the coding at Stern now,
sure,
and Fred Richardson, who's a veteran, amazing player from America. And I won the first 2 games, so I got 14 points, and I took my foot off the gas. And it was a bit of a mistake, really, because what happens is in the FIBA Worlds, you can qualify with a bye if you finish in the top 16. Yeah. So sure. if you finish 9 through 16, you qualify with a bye. Yeah. If you finish 1 through 8, you qualify with 2 byes.
Yep.
Yeah. And so if you finish 17 through 24, you go straight into the next round. And the mistake I made was that we were playing the very last game in the last session. We were playing this old EM, and I was just so over the moon to have qualified that I took my foot off the gas, and I came last in that game. And it meant that I finished on. If I had come anything but last, if I'd have finished first, second, or third, I would have qualified with a bye, which meant that I'd have had a rest.
You skip around, yeah.
Sure. I'd have skipped around and had a rest. And the thing is that when you've been playing pinball, it may seem like a dream to play pinball for 12 hours on the Friday, and then another 4 hours on the morning session on the Saturday. And it is fun, at times, but it's really yeah, it's competitive. You need to be on it, and I used up a lot of petrol to qualify
Yeah,
it.
okay. I understand. That's actually what I wrote down. That was what I was going to ask you. I wrote
Mm,
down one word. That was tiredness. So just talk
mm,
to me about tiredness, actually,
mm,
because it's something that it's funny. Just going, and I've played 3 or 4 tournaments now,
yeah.
and the thing is, when you play at home
Mm,
and you get tired, you go and make a cup of tea and you sit down.
yeah.
And that's just what you do. You do something else, and then when you feel a bit perked up again, you might play a bit more pinball. You might not. You might watch Netflix or something. But
Mm,
there's no one's making you stand next to the machines and play it.
yeah.
And you do feel, oh, I think I need a little bit of a sit down now. It is tiring on your feet.
Mm,
Your feet will start to ache when you play that. And every major score I've ever got, be it on my own or anything else, or the best stuff I've ever done in tournaments have all been early games. It's always been in the morning, in or around lunchtime. I've definitely noticed that
mm,
as the day goes on, the more I do it, the more tired I get. And I think it might have something to do with your eyes, your body's just not as sharp.
mm.
That's got to be a massive thing in a tournament. Well, I guess you can train for that, because if you're fitter, I guess you don't get tired as quickly. Is
Mm.
that something you're mindful of, the tiredness?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a lot of these tournaments that require you to play, many hours, it's really important that if you think about it, the actual time you spend at the machine is such a small percentage of the time you're at the venue.
Yeah,
And I've learned to look after myself, make sure that I sit down in between
yes,
games, I
yes,
hydrate myself, that I have something to eat, and that a lot of the times I have earplugs. So that what I learned was my results improved massively when I wore earplugs,
yeah,
because what I realized is that rather similar to your computer, when you've got loads of windows open and you're processing information that is not relevant. For
yeah,
example, that if you're in a crowded venue with loads of machines going off everywhere, all the sound, all the lighting, that if you're you know open to that, and you don't have any earplugs on, then all that sound and all that information is going into your brain,
yeah,
and it somehow is sort of like a when you've got loads of things open on your computer and it runs a bit slower because it's still processing.
yeah.
That I found that when I put the earplugs in and I was just purely focused on the game and processing the visual aspect of the game that I was playing and nothing else, then I sort of did better.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is
Mm,
the second tournament I played at Neil's, because there's a natural inclination to want to watch what everyone else is doing. It's exciting. You're excited to be there, to look at the scores, to look at the screens,
mm,
to maybe look at a machine you haven't seen much of. And I remember the first time I ever played at Neil's. Not that I did any better the second time, but the first time I was there, I spent the whole day standing up. And actually, I said to myself, right, next time I go, I'm going to do that. In between rounds, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have a
yeah,
cup of tea. Yeah, I think if I was anywhere near any of you guys' level, and I thought there was a chance of maybe getting a trophy, I'd love to win. I'd love to win a trophy. I'd love to win a trophy at something or other.
I would love you to win a trophy, Gonzo.
Honestly, even if it was for most fluky shot or something. Do you know what I mean? Something.
Mm,
But if I was contesting trophies,
mm,
then I would go that extra
yeah,
yard as well, and try and just do all the small margins. And they talk about it in sport. I'm a great
mm,
lover of sport, and look at cycling, a small gains margin in cycling, and what they do. And there's
yeah,
a guy in cycling called Sir Dave Brailsford, who basically revolutionised cycling in this country. And when he took over the Sky team for the Tour de France, he did little things like, whenever they booked a hotel, they took a van that had mattresses in there. Basically, every cyclist had their favourite mattress. So actually, what they
right,
inherently had was, they go to a hotel, they take the mattress off, and they put their home mattress on there and their
yeah,
home bedding. And he was just saying, well, that might make 0.5% in terms of
mm,
their sleep. It might mean they get 15 minutes more sleep. With 15 minutes more sleep every night over 3 weeks, is going to have a big, and it's all small margins and stuff like that. So I do find that stuff very, very interesting. And you are going to be in the world of competitive, I think, stance and just all this stuff. I find that fascinating, really.
Are you going to take your mattress up to Daventry then?
I might sleep on the floor in Spencer's room.
But I totally hear you. It is small margins, and like on the back of what you said, Gons, is that what I've realized in competitive pinball, a lot of the top players are technically equally matched.
Sure.
There may be small margins of, you know, the really top echelons of your top 10 players in the world, top 20, you know, that are technically superior. However, like, pinball's a mental game, and what I've realized is that a lot of what goes on between the ears can separate, you know, the top players. And, like, you know, can you play under pressure? You know, that's when you find out. That's when you find out who you are. And a lot of the top players that I see, you know, when their back's against the wall, they actually tend to perform the best. And and you know, like, I've collapsed like a cheap tent in a gale before on a high pressure game, but I've also, you know, really found out who I was and really dug something out when my back's against the wall. And I think that's really interesting to put yourself in that position. Although it might feel uncomfortable, there's something exciting about it. I used to be like a DJ as a young man, and that kind of buzz before you go on. The butterflies in the stomach, that kind of, I know you must experience that when you go on to play. And even before the podcast, it's something that, I don't know, it's something that drives us, doesn't it? You know, it'd be very boring if we didn't have
that. Is funny to the crowd, of course. I remember thinking this when I was at Daventry, and I was looking at the crowd. I was thinking, oh, this is interesting here, because actually, you know, the little roped off area, and the more the day went on, the more people congregated. There was, I think it'd be fair to say, a crowd of 30 to 40 people watching. And actually watching, not other players, people who stopped playing, watching the finalists play. But well, this is interesting. You know, I've known a friend of mine who spent 2 months worrying about giving a best man speech because he was going to have to stand up in front of 100 people. It's not for everyone. Not everyone can do it. Obviously, you've done DJ and you are used to people being up there and people looking at you. That's another thing. So actually, you've got this whole thing. Can you shut down? Can you mentally focus on the games? I do think inherently you could probably get too caught up about playing against other people, but really pinball, you're playing against the machine. I think you've got to separate the other people from it. And actually, can I get my best score on this machine and learn this machine? Actually, nobody else has got bugger all to do with it. And can I then not get distracted? I'd imagine they play massive parts in it.
So you've hit the nail on the head there, Gons, and I want to pick up on, grab the baton, to use an athletics analogy of what you just said, and that I used to spend a lot of time watching my opponents nervously, wishing them to drain. You know, which is not the way. Look,
mate, you won't be there won't be a single person on here who hasn't thought that at some point. So don't worry about that.
But what I realized was that I was wasting a lot of time and energy in negativity and wishing others to fail. Which, what I learned was pretty quickly, is that nowadays, unless I don't know the machine, I'm not really interested in what the opponent's doing. I generally tend to just walk away and be in my own space, especially in a final or something, and just sit down quietly and wait for my turn. And like you said, it's something that you and the machine do. It's something that you do with the machine. And I feel that there's been times when I've walked up to a machine and just asked it nicely, you know, let's show them what we can do, you know. Let's do this. Now, sometimes the machine will kick you in the nuts, and there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't matter how good you are. You know when you get a sling drain and
it propels it really. It hits a sling and propels it off of a post rubber and down the outline so quick you ain't got time to nudge it. You could be the best player in the world. You ain't stopping that.
That's right. Yeah, when you hear that sound when the ball hits wood, and it ain't coming back. And you know, some machines do that, but Yeah, it's just great, pinball when you're in the zone, there's no better feeling, is it? And you're just making every shot, and even in multi-ball, you're just like every shot is being made. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
it's just magical. It's not something like what I've realized is it's not something that you can sort of just ask for and you have it right. I want to be in the zone for this ball. It's something that happens every now and then, and when you do get it, it feels very magical.
It is, and sometimes you're playing well, and sometimes you're not. And I mean, generally, just being at home as well. Sometimes you can't hit a donkey's ass with a banjo, and then sometimes you think,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, I got it, I got it." I mean, if you, was it no day before yesterday?
Mm,
I was in really good form. I was in
brilliant.
really good form. I've got I mean, for me, good score. I got 700 million on my
Mm,
first ball on Batman. I thought, oh, okay, yeah, good. And didn't do a bad score. Got 1.3, 1.4 billion. It's a good
nice,
score
nice.
for me on that, right? Particularly when I didn't really use many multipliers to do it. It was a good score.
Yeah.
I thought, well, yeah. This is good, and I played it, and I still did, and had a number of good games afterwards. 700 billion, 600 billion. Yeah, I thought I'm in good form. I'm playing. My technique seems pretty good today. My shot making is pretty good.
Mm,
That was the day before yesterday. Came back yesterday, tried to play some. Thought, yeah, I'm going to go back down there, play Batman. I think I'll beat that today. That was my intention. I'm going to top my
yeah.
score. And I had it in my mind. I'm going to save the multi ball to get that
Mm,
mode. And I'll save the multiplier, and then once I get to that mode, I'll hit the multiplier. Then I'll hit the multi ball. The world will be a happy place. I'll take a
mm.
picture of it, send it to Andy, and then everybody will know how brilliant I am. I was awful. It was awful. Just awful. And
Yeah.
I just one day's difference. One day
Yeah.
I'm playing well. The next day, absolute crap. In the end, I had to turn it off. It was just awful.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, there
mm,
you go. Andy didn't get sent his picture.
mm,
But there you go. Listen, Rich,
mm,
it's been a delight talking to you. I'm
mm.
looking forward to seeing you at Pinfest, certainly, which I think will probably be the next
Yeah.
time, mate. Please come on and join us again, as you say. Andy and Sam, we wish them luck in the IFPA championships. Our two
Mm,
representatives over there. I mean, crikey, he's getting around, isn't he, Andy?
mm,
Over the past 12 months, is getting out to so many of these tournaments. I wish you well, wish you luck
mm,
in what, yeah, well, on everything. I wish you luck in the tournaments. Wish you luck on Spider-Man there if you're going to go and fire it up in a minute.
mm.
And Rich, thanks for joining me. Any last words? Anything you finally wanted to say, mate?
Yeah, just to back up what you said, and I'll be watching the IFPL Worlds on the stream. I don't know who's streaming it, but I wish Andy and Sam all the best. Hope they enjoy it and smash it. And yeah, good luck.
Absolutely.
Good luck at the Electric Circus this weekend, Gons.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, looking forward to
Yeah,
that. Actually, bit of a
and
different format, isn't it? So bit of
I'll see
fun.
you. I'll see. Are you going to the Pinball Republic in a couple of weeks? Is it next week? Or
I think.
yeah,
I don't think it either falls on a stag do.
yeah.
My mate Mark Stag do, who I've taken down to Pinball Republic once actually. It's
Mm,
either his stag do, or it's or it's the last because my job's like West Ham games basically, or it's West Ham's last game of the season. I can't remember. It's one of the two, so I don't think I am. But hey, yeah.
okay.
Anyway, lots of time for that. I'll see all that Pinball Republic lot up because it's Pinball Republic are. I'm saying play. I almost said fighting. Pinball Republic are
Yeah,
playing against Electric Circus.
yeah,
But it is fun. This is the whole point. It's not an overly
yeah.
competitive tournament. There's a split flipper thing. It's going to have to be a ton of fun. By the time
Mm,
this video goes up, I'll have already played it. So a lot of people
okay.
know the results and they're all going out for curry afterwards. I've
Yeah.
got work the next day because West Ham are playing Norwich the next day. So I've actually got to come back down from the Midlands. But I'm looking forward to it. Nonetheless, should be a good day out, mate.
All right, mate. I'll see you at Daventry anyway.
I look forward to it. Rich, thank you
Yeah.
very much. There you go. There's Rich. What a guy. What a guy.
Mm,
Absolutely brilliant. I'm sure many of you will have enjoyed that. And I know it's really funny listening to Rich. He speaks so much like many of the other competitive players as well. And just listen to how he's going to be watching the IFPAs on the stream and all the rest of it. It really is. It's been a complete eye-opener for me in a completely different world, all this competitive stuff. Yeah, keep your eye on the channel. Thank you very much. Also, keep an eye out for what Tim's bringing out as well. We'll put because Tim's actually, I believe, is streaming the event Electric Circus as well. So I'm going to look forward to having a good old chat with him there. And I will put a link to Special When Lit underneath the description. If you're anywhere in the southwest, take yourself down there. Check it out. Loads of machines. You'll get to meet Rich as well. Maybe even give you a couple of tips. Bearing in mind, he's been training since he was a boy with a no-legged table on the floor in his bedroom. Thanks again, Rich. You take care, mate. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, Gonz.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.